Once upon a time, college was the golden ticket. Study hard, get a degree, and you'd be set for life. The premium edition of the American dream. Nowadays, tuition costs more than a small house, student debt is basically a rite of passage, and degree requirements are being rolled back. So is college a smart investment, or really just an expensive 4-year group project? Let's break it down. Starting with the facts, on average, college grads still earn a lot more than people with just a high school diploma. Over a lifetime, that difference can add up to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But here's the catch. Not all degrees are created equal, and not everyone's college journey looks the same. Some people walk out with a diploma and a six-figure job. Others get a diploma, a mountain of debt, and a job that can't even cover a Netflix subscription, even one with ads. Meanwhile, opportunities outside the classroom haven't looked better for a long time. In 2025, you can learn almost anything online, from quantum physics to how to make the perfect sourdough. Boot camps, apprenticeships, and certifications are becoming real alternatives. Some employers care more about your portfolio than your diploma. So then, what's the real value of college now? Let's be honest. The answer depends on who you are, what you want, and how much you're willing to pay. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, college isn't just worth it, it's non-negotiable. But if you're dreaming of becoming a coder, an entrepreneur, or even looking for just a comfortable 9 to 5, there are more paths than ever to get there, and many don't require a traditional 4-year degree. The money question is huge as well. If you can get through college with little or no debt, it's almost always a good investment. However, that's just not the reality for a lot of people. Most people, in fact. If you're staring down six figures in loans for a degree in the humanities, you may want to rethink your strategy. And let's not forget the soft benefits of college. It's where a lot of people meet lifelong friends, mentors, and even business partners. Sometimes, who you meet matters as much as what you learn. I guess it's kind of true. Your network is your net worth. But the reality of the job market is changing. Employers are starting to value skills, experience, and adaptability over just having a piece of paper. For example, Palantir has a whole new alternative program for high school grads to skip the collegiate system. Of course, you will still have to send an SAT and all that good stuff, and their inaugural class looks like a straight up Doge roster. But overall, the wage gap between grads and non-grads is still there, but it's not growing as fast as it used to and honestly could be shrinking. And with AI and automation shaking up the workforce, the jobs of tomorrow might not even exist yet. I'll send you to my video from a few weeks ago for more on that one. And so the best way to look at this decision is from a financial perspective, particularly ROI. College return on investment is found by comparing the extra money you'll earn over your lifetime with a degree to the total cost of getting that degree. If that extra earnings are much higher than what you spent, your ROI is positive, and college is paid off. On paper, it still looks pretty good. The average bachelor's degree holder in 2025 is expected to earn about $2.3 million over their lifetime, compared to about $1.1 million for someone with just a high school diploma. That's a significant gap. With the average degree at an in-state public school costing about 100 grand, that ROI can be quite attractive. When you factor in private universities in the range of 200 grand plus, in addition to high interest debt, then things get a little dicier. In fact, some studies put the median ROI of a degree around 12.5%, according to CNBC, with a positive ROI indicating an effective investment. Could that money be put to better use? Not really. It's unlikely that you could yield higher than that given the S&P returns maybe 9-10% on average. But we're going to circle back to the idea that not all degrees pay off the same way. If you're majoring in business, computer science, engineering, you're looking at some of the highest returns out there. On the flip side, fields like education, psychology, and the arts might actually leave you with a negative ROI, meaning you could end up paying more for your degree than you can even make back from it. I've even seen an ROI for an education degree as low as negative 54%. And don't forget about the student debt. The more you borrow, the longer it takes to break even. Student loans add interest and increase your total college costs, which lowers your ROI. The more you borrow, and the longer you take to pay it back, the longer it takes for your degree to become a good investment. For some grads, it can take decades just to pay off these loans. And good luck getting them forgiven. Americans who elected to forego college are not in line to let that happen. So before you dive in, it's worth running the numbers. What's your major? What's the average starting salary? And how much will you owe when you graduate? That's the real heart of the college ROI question in 2025. Let's do a double take on these student loans for a second, because honestly, they feel pretty predatory nowadays. Lenders are all too happy to hand out tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to 18-year-olds who've never even filed taxes and who don't understand that the interest starts piling up even before you've landed your first job. If you're not careful, you could end up owing way more than you ever expected, with payments that follow you for decades. If I could change one thing about American high schools, it would be this. Explain how student loans work, the difference between public and very expensive private colleges, and illustrate the average amount of time it takes for a borrower to pay off these loans. 10 to 20 years, people. Young adults should be comfortable with these facts before they even consider student loans, yet very few are even aware of their existence. That's why it's not worth taking out big loans unless you have real career visibility and a solid plan to pay them off. If you're not sure your degree will lead to a job that covers those monthly payments, it's time to hit pause and to rethink your options. College graduates often expect salaries tens of thousands of dollars higher than what reality dictates. If you're taking on eye-watering levels of debt without a clear vision of the job prospects, then you are going to be drowning for years. Please do the research and don't use salary numbers at the top of the range to base your decision. Let's be honest, we can't all be top 10% earners. That's just not how numbers work. So be conservative when you're deciding what your debt burden will be. And there's no shame in choosing a cheaper school, working part-time, or even taking a gap year to figure things out. Remember, the goal isn't just to get a diploma. It's to build a future where you're not drowning in debt and you can actually be financially free. Okay, so how do you actually decide if college is worth it for you? Well, here's a simple tool that you can use to guide your decision making. A nice simple matrix. Think of it as a gut check before you sign on the dotted line. You should ask yourself, what's your major? High earning fields like engineering, business, and computer science usually make college a good bet, but lower earning fields with fewer job opportunities, do the math. Wink, wink, gender studies. What are your interests and goals? If you need a degree to get where you want, that's one thing. If not, maybe there's another way. This could be the case for creatives, small business owners, and even coders. What you want may not necessarily require a degree. Don't let tradition dictate your path when the world is changing every day. And if you still decide college is the way to go, can you receive the same or even better education at a public school? Most likely in 90+% of situations. And of course, how much debt will you take on? If you can keep the debt low, great. If not, be extra cautious. You need to be a top student at a top school to rationalize tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. These lenders want you trapped, and so you need to treat them like the devil. Debt should be your last resort. And then does your school have strong connections? Some colleges open doors just by being on your resumes. Others, not so much. In today's job market, relationships are everything. If you're going to a no-name school, don't expect Goldman Sachs to even think about your resume. I don't agree with it, but prestige matters. And what are your alternatives? Could you get the same skills or experience through a boot camp, an apprenticeship, or an online course? Look at Palantir. That route is going to be open at so many other places in the near future. You don't need college to get educated. Learning can be completely free and even better in other places. So if you feel a lot of conviction in these categories, college is probably worth it. If not, it's time to consider other options, and that's totally okay. The opportunities for those without college degrees are arguably better now than they've been for a while. Learn a trade, go to coding boot camp, or even start your own small business. These are all very possible nowadays without the burden of 4 years in a very expensive school. But let's take a step back here. It's not all about money and jobs. College can be about finding yourself, building independence, and learning how to survive on your own. It's late night debates, group projects that test your patience, and maybe even meeting your future best friend or business partner. For some, these experiences are priceless. For others, not so much. I wouldn't base your entire decision on this category, as no amount of fun is worth the debt, but it should be factored in. Just please, 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 don't go into debt to party and get high every day. It will never be worth it. College is serious, and you should treat it as such. So, after all that's been said, is college still worth it in 2025? For some, absolutely. For others, maybe not. The world is changing, and so are the rules. The best advice I could give is to know yourself, do your homework, and don't be afraid to forge your own path, whether that leads to a college campus or somewhere completely different. And my finance side cannot let you forget. Don't take on debt without giving it some serious thought. And so if you found today's video helpful, please let me know in the comments. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Is college worth it to you? Would you do it again, or would you take a different route this time? And of course, thanks for watching, and feel free to drop some video suggestions or topics you want to see covered down below. Stay curious, and remember, life's biggest lessons don't always come with a diploma. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.